Hey YouTubers, it's Charlie. This is going to be my Arrow episode 22 video. Next week is the finale, and then the week after that is going to be the finale of The Flash. So we are slowly shutting down this season. There were a couple things with the characters that I feel like the episode didn't address, so I'm wondering if the finale is going to follow up on that, or if there were just like a bunch of scenes this season that helped develop characters that they had to cut for time. Really not talking about a lot of the supporting characters, mostly Katana and Maseo scenes, both in the flashbacks and in present day. But I'll try to address that as we work through WTF moments, so here we go. Careful for spoilers. So starting with number 5, the Omega has gone off and Akio needs a cure, so they track down Shreve. In the flashbacks, Shreve says there is no cure, but in modern day, Ra's al Ghul said that Tatsu, or Katana, however you want to think about her, was inoculated. So either Shreve is lying, or they developed an inoculation after the fact. This is going to be really important for what happened to Team Arrow at the end of the episode, so just remember, even though Shreve said there's no antidote, there is a way to inoculate people against it. Because this is such a big plot point, I feel like there will be a scene in the finale that will address how Tatsu became inoculated. On to number 4. Surprise, surprise, Oliver's been faking it this whole time. It's been a fairly convincing performance, so hats off to Stephen Amell for playing zombie Ray Shamel. The problem is I feel like they made the reveal too early in the episode. It kind of undercut some of the tension because you remember, the rest of Team Arrow thinks that he's still drunk the Kool-Aid. How could you do this to us, Oliver? You know, like that big moment at the end of the episode. Because we knew Oliver was faking it the whole time, it just kind of destroyed some of the tension. It's almost like there's no threat. It's like, yeah, they're dying from this poison, but Oliver's probably going to save him in the end because he's not brainwashed. Here's what I think might have happened. They wanted to open the episode with a big WTF reveal. Like, you remember after the mid-season finale, Oliver dies, and they revealed that he's still alive in the next episode. You didn't have to wait long at all. Because there's so many things going on in this finale that they have to accomplish, and there's so many characters, the writers may have felt like making the Oliver reveal early in the episode was better than waiting till the end, or even waiting to the finale. That might have felt more like a Deus Ex Machina situation. On to number 3, the new Team Arrow gets Katana. This was another one of those moments meant to be a WTF reveal. Like, holy shit, it's Katana, she's got her blade. We saw her in the promo in her armor, which was kind of a spoilery image. But she's an awesome character, so you forgive it. You're like, okay, we have Katana on the team. You kind of see why they brought her in this way, because they wanted to have the Maseo Katana fight at the end. That's been their arc this season. The problem with those two characters is I feel like they don't have any chemistry on screen together. Conceptually, they're both really interesting, but I feel like they would have been better off just telling the story of Katana from the comic books, just keeping it a little bit simpler. It's just that I was never a fan of the Maseo character. I would have liked it a little bit more if they would have just swapped the characters. Is that they were talking to each other in English. You'd think it'd be more personal if they talked to each other in their native tongue. Remember, they're from Japan, but Oliver met them in Hong Kong because they were on the run. Katana never really explained what she was running from, so they might get into that in season 4. Hopefully Katana will be back, even if it's only a cameo. She's like one of the biggest DC characters that they brought on the show, so it makes sense that they would want to develop her more if the actress is available. That's another really big issue that Arrow's had. Just because they run for 23 episodes, it's really hard for them to cast guest actors for a long run. As for a comic book Katana, as we see her at the end of the episode, I feel like she's fine. I feel like she just hasn't gotten any character development. So just bring her on screen more, everything will be fine. On to number 2, New Team Arrow Battle Royale. Just from a production standpoint, this was the biggest action scene that they've done all season. Conceptually, it's another really awesome scene. You have all of this new team versus the League of Assassins and Oliver. But because they're on a TV schedule, they don't have quite as much time to film the action scenes, so it feels a little jerky and uneven, just the pacing of it. And the way they cut between the scenes was a little weird too. Like, you go from Ray Palmer giving Felicity the company, which is like a whole other big thing we'll have to talk about later, to them landing in Nanda Parbat in an open battlefield. So the battle's really awesome, but the way they edited it was just terrible. The other big reason for this big outdoor battle scene, the reason why it was during daylight outdoors, is because they wanted to do the Atom scene in the air, him flying around versus the plane. Remember, they have a spin-off coming that's going to feature the Atom heavily, so they want to show him off. They want to get people more excited about what he can do. I feel like the effects look solid, the action's great. I feel like they need to work on the quippy dialogue just a little bit. They're almost there. But it's another one of those issues that can be solved by just developing Ray's character more. And finally, my number 1 WTF moment, Oliver and Nissa's wedding. I was so happy when she tried to stab him right after stepping up to the altar. That felt like a totally genuine moment. Of course she's going to try and kill Oliver. The minute they revealed they'd be getting married to Team Arrow, all I could think about was The Graduate, where Dustin Hoffman's like banging on the glass, trying to get her to not marry the dude. You just see Felicity Smoke just banging on the door, don't get married. The real question is how's this wedding going to end? Probably in another big pitched battle. And Team Arrow in the cave with the poison. Just to address that, what I think is happening is either someone's going to rush in with an antidote that they've created, or Team Arrow has been inoculated without them knowing about it. When you try to cut on a WTF cliffhanger like that, and then put those characters in the promo sounding fine, talking to the Flash characters, you know that they're going to be fine. So that's a bit of a spoiler issue with promos. It happens all the time though, so you kind of get used to it. I did mention it on Twitter, but just in case you guys don't know, the people that make those promos, the people that make trailers for movies, for everything, are not the same people that are like the writers, the producers on shows and movies. Like for example, Mark Guggenheim, Stephen Amell, the writers on Arrow, they don't make the trailers. It's like a marketing department somewhere else. Their job is just to get more people to watch the episode. So they're going to put like all the big WTFs they can in the trailer. Here's my big question for you guys though. Now that we've seen the promo and we know the Flash is coming on, at least in some way, how do you think he's going to help Team Arrow? It could be anything from him just knocking out all the League of Assassins, to stealing the Omega, to full-blown time travel. And just to be clear, I'm going to be really surprised if it's time travel. I don't think it's going to be something like that. Here's some of the more fun Easter eggs in the episode. So Katana, of course, herself, a really big comic book character. We see her in the costume. We see the Soul Blade. Not expecting the Arrow version to have magical powers like the comic book version, but you get the idea. Roy tells Thea that she always looked better in red, so that's probably going to be what the color of her costume is. She will be Speedy from the comics, but she's going to be more like the Mia Dearden Speedy. Merlin says, be at Ferris Air by tomorrow morning. Carol Ferris, obviously, big Green Lantern Easter egg. And then when Rachel Gould tells Nyssa that her punishment will be worse than 1,000 deaths. It's a nice Easter egg for this comic book arc with Nyssa and Talia al Ghul. So Nyssa and Talia are half-sisters. He talked a little bit about Nyssa's mother, how she was a concubine, not a wife. Obviously, his wife is the one who had Talia. But in the comics, Nyssa is way more hardcore. So in order to stick it to Talia, she kills her, throws her in the Lazarus pit, and then rinses and repeats and just keeps doing that over and over and over to drive Talia mad. So Ra's al Ghul could literally kill you 1,000 times just because he could kill you, then bring you back in the Lazarus pit, then kill you again, and just keep going and going and going. I'd say of all the things this season that has been most fun, especially the back half of the season, has been looking at the culture of the League of Assassins. Because of some of the things they were setting up in this episode, I'm not sure if we're going to see a lot of League of Assassins next season, if we're going to go back to Argus, because we have this big Hive storyline, and now that Felicity is going to be CEO of Palmer Tech, Queen Industries, whatever their joint company is, we're probably going to spend a lot more time around that. By the way, though, there is a long tradition of comic book superheroes giving their companies to other people so that they have more time to play with their toys. Iron Man is just the most famous example, like Tony Stark giving his company to Pepper Potts so that he can just go off and be Iron Man full time. It's a big upgrade for Felicity's character too, so I think that they're going to be spending a lot more time developing Felicity's character in season 4, especially if her father ends up being the main villain. Some of you also asked if Felicity is going to give Oliver the company back now that she has it. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think it's just going to be a funny situation whereby he kind of gets his company back, but Felicity is still his boss. You can kind of see the comedy that will come out of the role reversal. So don't forget, new episode of Arrow next week. Be sure to subscribe to get my video, and then the week after that will be the Flash finale, so you kind of understand how they're doing like a two-part crossover. So while you guys wait for that stuff, you can click here for this week's episode of The Flash, and you can click here for my Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. video that I just posted if you haven't seen it yet. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Let's high five. I'll see you guys tomorrow.